All right, hello and welcome everyone to today's session called Supercharge Learner Content with Interactive Video. Today we'll be talking about learner-made bulbs in PlayPosit. So welcome and thank you for joining for today. And if you are interested in following along or referring back to the slides after today's session, you can click on the button in the top right corner of your screen to access the participant-facing version of the slides, or you can enter that URL in the top right corner of the screen into your browser, tinyurl.com/webinar April 3rd. All right, let's go ahead and get started. And before we do, just a quick tech check for you all. If you're interested in a recording of this webinar, you can just go to our resource center. That is wevideo.com/resource-center. All of the webinar recordings will be available there after completed. As well, if you are having any technical difficulties, just try refreshing your browser, close any extra tabs to free up some bandwidth, and just make sure your volume's up and your audio in the Wistia page here is unmuted. So just double check those items if you're having trouble seeing or hearing me or the presentation today. If you do have any questions, need help, or just want to engage throughout the session today, my amazing colleague Stephanie Gates is in the chat, ready to support, and you can feel free to use the chat function as well as the Q&A widget on the right side of your screen. Thanks, Steph. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started. But if there's any issues getting up and running here, just let us know and we will do our best to help support you. Okay, you might be wondering who I am. So quick intro here. My name is Dylan Blatt. I'm a customer success manager at PlayPosit, which is powered by WeVideo. For a handful of K-12 customers and higher ed institutions, I am kind of the point person, instructional design resource, and designated person for PlayPosit communication. But for today, I'll be learning alongside you all, specifically on this idea of learner-made bulbs in PlayPosit. My background is in teaching. I have experience as an instructional coach and ed tech liaison for the schools that I worked at. And so that's the context that I'll be bringing to our session today. All right, let's get started officially. And so first questions for you all, just to engage in the chat. If you feel comfortable sharing, I would love to know, how you're using or maybe planning to use interactive video in your role. What's your experience level with PlayPosit? This session could be for beginners as well as intermediate folks with the tool, but would love to just know where you all are at. And maybe most importantly, what are you hoping to learn from today's session? So hopefully it can help you meet that goal by the end of our time together. So I will pause here for a moment to give you a chance to share. Again, if you're comfortable sharing in the chat, you can also ask any questions you have so far in the Q&A section. Great. Yep, Stephanie definitely likes to use the tool for creating trainings. Got some comments coming in. Have not used the tool before. Excellent. So if you're a beginner, we'll give you that overview to start and hopefully get you up and running. Awesome. Potentially options in the MBA classes. Great. We've got a lot of new folks here in the chat, which is excellent. Welcome. I'm excited to introduce you to our tool. Okay. And then some folks who have it at the institution, but maybe haven't used it yet or integrated it into their LMS. Great. Keep those comments coming if you are comfortable sharing your role or how you're using PlayPosit or want to use the tool. And again, if you have an idea of what you want to learn from today's session, I'd be happy to do my best to get that done for you. Okay, we'll keep the chat open, of course, but I do want to just share what the plan is for our time together today. So for those new folks, which it seems like there are at least a handful of, great. We're going to start with that PlayPosit overview. So what is PlayPosit? How could you use it? Why might you use it? Specifically with a focus on learner-made bulbs. That is kind of our main content for today's session. A few ideas for some use cases. This won't be an exhaustive list, of course, but just to get you started with some ways that we have seen folks using PlayPosit for learner-made bulbs specifically. And then the bulk of our session is really going to be on kind of this idea of how do I use learner-made bulbs, demoing that tool, giving you a bit of time to practice creating that type of assignment for learners. And then we'll close out with some resources to support both you as an instructor or your learners as well. And then just general PlayPosit resources that may guide you along the way. I know it says Q&A at the end. You are definitely welcome to ask questions throughout the session. Do not feel like you need to wait until the end, but we'll make some additional time at the end of today's session as well. And welcome, Deja. I see you in the chat as well. Deja is one of the amazing people that I work with at NC State. All right, let's dive right in. PlayPosit overview. So at its core, if you're new to the tool, PlayPosit, it empowers instructors to do a few different things. It's really an instructional design studio for creating interactive video content. So you can take what was previously a passive video watching experience and make that into an active experience for your learners. You can integrate with various video hosts. So it could be Vimeo, could be YouTube, but also Kaltura, Yuja, Panopto, just to name a few. Depends on what your institution has set up. The beauty here is that you are able to assess learning and engagement, right? You can see what are the responses that learners are submitting. What does that mean about the insights to their learning? How are they engaging? How much time are they spending watching the content, whether it's for compliance or content retention? And there's a lot of ways to use the tool. And the other powerful piece is that you are building this content, hopefully to reuse and edit it over time and not recreate each and every semester or each and every academic year. So at a high level, that's really what PlayPosit offers. And the why behind it, I think, is really important to consider. So there are really three main reasons. There are more, but three big ones that folks kind of gravitate towards using the tool. And a lot of institutions have a license for PlayPosit. And so in that case, great, you have access to use the tool as much as you'd like. But the why behind it really is ultimately increased accountability, better content retention, and then aligned accessibility. So in terms of accountability, right, we're looking to see, hey, I assigned this content to a learner or potentially faculty or staff member. Did they engage? How long did they engage? If it's accountability for a learner, maybe it's looking at their grade for that content, syncing it to the LMS gradebook, and really knowing that they're engaging with the content in the way that I am expecting them to. Ultimately, the name of the game is better content retention, right? If you are actively engaged in watching this video and responding to questions and interactions that come throughout the video, you're going to remember that content better. You can take notes throughout and ultimately remember and learn more from this experience. And then, of course, we take accessibility seriously. And so we have, the tool is screen reader compatible. We can enable closed captions, and it's WCAG compliant, just to name a few items. And in the participant-facing slides that Stephanie shared, or is sharing rather, in that button in the top right of your screen, there should be some purple boxes with links to various resources on some of the slides that I'm presenting. So you won't see them on my slides here, but you will on your version. So feel free to engage with those resources as well. All right. Now, just to get specific on kind of the how you can use PlayPosit. So if you hear me use the word bulb today, which I'll probably do a handful of times, and I maybe have already done a handful of times, I'm just talking about interactive videos. So bulb is kind of like this idea. We think of it as, a light bulb going off in the mind of a learner. And so I talk about a bulb and talking about that end product that you are assigning to a learner. In this case, it's going to be slightly different, and I'll get to that in just a moment. But really, there's kind of two buckets here. So asynchronous delivery, you can use kind of our most common option, which is the self-paced bulb. It's where you create that interactive video, you assign it to learners, whether it's through your LMS or just with a direct link, and then they can engage at their own pace. They can watch the video, pause, interact with the content, come back to it at a later time, and then ultimately earn a grade if it's set up with point values there for that interactive video. So self-paced, asynchronous option, most common, maybe most flexible in that way. Second option is what we're going to focus most of our time on today. That's the learner made bulb. So that is exactly what it sounds like. The learner is the one making the bulb or creating that interactive video. I love this example of a way to use bulbs because it's really student centered. So this is putting the student in the driver's seat, giving them essentially access to the instructor view or the instructional design studio to create their own interactive video. And we'll talk more about how that might be useful or when this might be the right use case, but that is going to be our focus for today. We also have this option called playlists, which may or may not be included in your license. You'll know because on the left sidebar, you'll see a playlist option or tab. If it's not, you can definitely reach out to us, success@wevideo.com to learn more about that, and we can talk about it. But it's really great because it allows you to take multiple bulbs, interactive videos, or different resources and put them all in kind of a one-click, one-place location. Again, inside your LMS or through a direct link. And so for like a unit of study or a training, or is there like a set of scaffolded resources that you want learners to engage with, that's a great option. Last but not least, you can take that bulb, take that interactive video and deploy it live through our broadcast functionality. That's the synchronous option. And that is where you as the instructor control the pace. So if you're in a physical classroom, you can display the video at the front of your classroom. If it's Zoom or another virtual option, you can share your screen. But again, you're playing the video, controlling the flow, pausing and playing when you would like. Learners respond on their own devices. And then you can pause, address learning gaps, look at the data in real time. And so that's really powerful for those kind of synchronous instructional moments. Okay, that's kind of the how. Again, we're going to focus on that bolded item here, learner-made bulbs, today specifically. Okay, let's talk more about what is a learner-made bulb. I did hint at it a bit on that last slide, but to go a little deeper here, it's really an assignment type, and that allows the learner to be the one to create the interactive video. So you might be wondering, okay, well, when would I use this example of a PlayPosit bulb? So this is really if you have an opportunity where you want students to annotate, let's say a recording that they've done or a video that they found, they can create their own lesson sort of to demonstrate their understanding as if they're a teacher. And so that's just a quick high level view. We're going to go into a few more examples, but this is an assignment type that does support that grade passback for those LMS users as well. So learners will be able to submit their learner-made bulb to you as an instructor, and you can still give them a grade based on the scale that you're looking to assess them on. Okay, let's talk about some examples of how you might use learner-made bulbs. And again, the chat is open if you have questions, you have thoughts. Hopefully the folks who said, hey, I'm new at this, I'm new to PlayPosit, at this point are starting to get an understanding of what the tool is. So why learner-made bulbs? What are some of those use cases? There's going to be 3 here. I'm going to briefly mention, and I'll show you an example of each. So starting with the one here on the left, number 1, apply learning through video analysis and commenting. So here you can take, for example, a third-party piece of content. Maybe it's a video on YouTube or a commercial in a marketing class, and annotate that. Create pause interactions throughout the video to note some things that you're seeing, strategies that you learned in the course that you're seeing in this particular piece of content. So applying that learning through the commenting tool inside of a video. Second one here in the top right, I really like this one as a former teacher. If you take a video that you've recorded, maybe it's you doing some student teaching in the classroom, or if you're a performing arts student, a video of you performing or practicing a piece of music, for example, you can upload that to PlayPosit in this learner-made bulb assignment, and then add our discussion interaction, which can then give you the opportunity to have this kind of conversation time-stamped with both the instructor and the student back and forth. So at a particular time, you can comment something that you're noticing, something that was really great, an area to improve on, a strategy that you're seeing in the video, and then as an instructor, you can comment and reply to that from the discussion interaction there and with the student. Thank you, Lee. I realize that is blocking a bit. I'm going to just go off stage for a moment. So Okay, I think if I go off stage, I'm not sure if you're able to hear me, so I'll stay there for now. But apologies for that. Thank you, Stephanie, for letting us know. Um, yep, the slides are viewable as well on your own. Okay, let's take a look at the bottom right here, and I know it's blocked, so I'll do my best to just kind of illuminate that as well. The third example, this is where you allow the learners to become the instructor. So this is kind of this idea of like a jigsaw learning or exam review where you say, hey, students, I want you to go ahead and become an expert on this particular topic. I want you to create a lesson where, you know, someone who's participating in the lesson has to watch the video content and answer questions to kind of process their own understanding. So students become the teachers. When I say jigsaw, I mean, divvy up a particular unit of study or topic into smaller groups and lessons, and then ask learners to focus on those specifically. The powerful part here is that once learners submit their learner-made bulbs to you, you can actually copy those into your account. You can make them into one cohesive playlist and share that out with the class. So you can kind of consolidate all of these pieces of the jigsaw puzzle, all these pieces of content, and then blast it out to learners to engage with everything that the class had created. So just one way to empower learners to become the instructor there as well. Similar for exam review, right? You can ask students to create learner-made bulb on a particular topic to review for the exam, and then again, share those all out for learners to prepare for the upcoming exam. Okay, so those are the three that we're going to take a look at, and that was kind of a high-level view there. First one, I just want to kind of show you what that could look like here. So this example is that analyzing third-party content. This is a particular, I think it was a Super Bowl commercial from several years ago, and the learner is going to use this as a way to highlight some of the strategies that they learned in their marketing class. So you'll notice here on the left side of the screen, a pause interaction. The pause interaction does exactly what it sounds like. It pauses the video and then gives you a chance to type something for the viewer. So it could be directions, resources. In this case, it's an annotation that talks about the reference here and what the purpose of that moment is for the commercial. So just a quick example here of what that looks like. Second one, this is that performance task. So when I talked about like a video of you, student teaching or performing arts student, this is a video of a teacher in the classroom or multiple teachers rather, and then we have the discussion interaction here on the left. This is the space where you can give, the student is asking for feedback on their teaching demonstration. So the teacher can give that comment here at this particular timestamp right in that moment. Student can then go in and reply back, or student teacher in this moment can reply back. And again, can be time-stamped at particular moments. So get that real-time feedback. Okay, the last one we talked about here, learner lesson submission. So this is where the learner is becoming the teacher. Here you're actually seeing a Canvas workflow, which I'll show later on in the session. And so they're going to be asked to create this bulb, including 3 different interaction types on this piece of content. So here, they're actually uploading their own piece of content, their own video that they've got. You can also record if your license includes that. So see the learner here is uploading from their device their sample video on chromosomes, and then they're going to create questions for their classmates to potentially engage in if they get to watch this particular bulb. So it demonstrates mastery of a topic. The student becomes the teacher, and that's a really powerful way to show what you've learned. All right, I've been talking a lot. I would love to hear from you all. Which of these 3 examples are you most interested in trying out? And I'm also going to extend this and say, if there's something else you have in mind that I didn't cover here, I'd love to hear that as well. But if one of these stands out, let us know. And if you feel comfortable sharing why, I'll pause here for a moment to hear some of your thoughts and reactions so far. Awesome. So far, one vote for learner lesson submission. Definitely a good one, right? Empowering students to become the masters of that content. Yep. 2 votes there. Stephanie mentioned third-party content. Definitely fun to find some of that content and annotate it, analyze it. Yep, and Tara or Tara, my apologies. Your question definitely will go over that. That's actually the next part of our session here on how to set that up. So really been building towards the demo piece here. Performance task could also be a peer review or self-review experience versus from faculty. Yes, definitely. Okay, and some of the questions that are coming through, I'll leave for Stephanie to just jump in on as she has a chance. But let's get into kind of the demo piece. And if I haven't said this already, I apologize. LMB, that's just our acronym for Learner Made Bulb. That's a pet peeve of mine when someone shares an acronym and doesn't tell you what it means. So I just did that. I apologize. LMB, Learner Made Bulb. So if I use that today or you see it on the slides, that is what we're talking about. Okay, we're going to do that demo in just a moment. I do want to share kind of one pro tip here before we go a little further. So you'll notice when I get to the demo part here, you'll have the chance to make a name for that assignment and share brief objective or instructions for learners. However, you're only going to be able to use 255 characters for that description. So what I would recommend here, if you're using an LMS like Canvas, for example, in the description in your Canvas assignment or other LMS assignment, you can go a bit deeper and explain a little bit more there if needed. Because really the heavy lifting is going to be on the learner to create this interactive video. You're just going to be setting them up with the assignment, with the directions, and let them kind of run with that. So here you're seeing 2 examples. The first one on top is the analyze third-party content instructions. Take a Super Bowl commercial from YouTube or Vimeo, add at least 3 different pause interactions to demonstrate a marketing strategy. And the bottom one here is a performance task. That was that second example we talked about. So record your demonstration in YouTube, Vimeo, or other, start the assignment, select the source, and then use the template gallery to select a discussion interaction. So giving that time-coded feedback through a discussion interaction. So here in the bottom right, you can see this instructor had set up kind of a little table with sort of a mini rubric there on what they expect. That would be too much to fit into this 255 character limit. So using the LMS description is probably your best bet in that case. Okay, here's what we're going to do in terms of the workflow. So I'll show you how to log into PlayPosit, and I'll probably just demo this through Canvas since that's one of our more popular LMS tools that we use. But I can show you that the point where it would be the same in any LMS setup. And then I'll show you how to select that Learner Made Bulb option and then set it up. So if you're wanting to follow along, I would say log into your LMS if that's what you're using, or log into your PlayPosit account. If you don't have one yet, you can just kind of watch and then again, check it out on your own. But I will give you a little time to practice after the demo part. Okay, let's do it. So I'm going to hop over to this other tab here. This is my kind of demo Canvas course. And again, if you don't use Canvas, that's okay. You can, I'll share some resources at the end that will help you figure out how to get to PlayPosit in various LMS tools or platforms. But if you're in Canvas, you're going to click add assignment here in the top right corner, that blue button, as you normally would to add any assignment here for learners. You can title that. I'll just call this LMB, again, Learner Made Bulb, webinar demo, April 3rd. You can type the description here and go a bit deeper than you would in the actual PlayPosit space. So this is where I would add that description, the rubric, any details. Again, set up your points like you normally would here. And then to access PlayPosit from Canvas, if you're new to this, you go to the submission type section here. Make sure that the dropdown says external tool. And then you'll be able to click find and get to PlayPosit through this option here. You'll have at your institution, if you have an institutional license, probably just one option that says PlayPosit, But for me today, I'm going to use this one here because there's a handful of different environments that we have. Okay, once you click on the PlayPosit button there in your list, you'll probably see a gray screen similar to this one where you can enter PlayPosit through, again, in this case, Canvas. But no matter what LMS you're using, or if you're accessing PlayPosit outside of an LMS, this is what you should see once you get to PlayPosit, and that's your My Bulbs page. So on the left side bar menu here, you'll have My Bulbs, handful of other options. I mentioned earlier the playlists kind of add-on application. So if you do have access to that, it'll be here on the left side menu, fourth from the bottom, as well as the Customer Resources tab on the bottom option. That's a great kind of one-stop shop. We'll talk more about that in a bit, but for supporting resources. Okay, now normally if you're new to PlayPosit and you want to create your own interactive video as an instructor, you'll click this Add New Bulb button here, and that will open up a new tab where you'll be able to upload the video or choose the video from various sources, build out your interactions, and then link it to your assignment or generate a link to share with learners. But for today, we're again focused on that LMB, Learner Made Bulb option, where the students are doing the creating. And so you're going to click this arrow, kind of drop down arrow here, and the first option you should see is Add Learner Made Bulb. So that's how you get to creating that Learner Made Bulb assignment. And again, if there's questions, or I'm going too fast, I'm missing something here, please just let us know in the chat. So I'm going to click Add Learner Made Bulb. And I'll pause here just for a moment in case anyone is following along and just needs a second to catch up. Okay, great. Now, I mentioned earlier, in this use case, this example of PlayPosit, learners are doing the heavy lifting. They're the ones doing the creating, finding the video, uploading the video, creating interactions. And so really, for you, it's going to be pretty simple. You just need to type the name of the bulb. So we'll call, again, this one LMB, or bulb assignment, rather, webinar 4.3 demo. And then here's where I mentioned that you have a chance to type some learning objectives or instructions, but notice here you're limited to 255 characters. So insert instructions here. But if you need more, use that LMS description or find another space that maybe is a little bit less limited. Okay, now you could leave it there and click save, and then we could be done setting this up. But you see this advanced settings option here, so I think it's worth at least showing that for today. If you're at an institution that has a private video host like Kaltura, Banopto, Yuja, you could allow learners to use that video host. Maybe they have a video inside that tool, so you can toggle this first option on if that's something that you're interested in doing or need to do. If your institution has a license that allows for video upload, you could also allow learners to upload their video files as well. So for something like that performance task option, that would be a really powerful way to let learners do that. Backup option would be to upload to YouTube as public or unlisted, and then they can use a YouTube link instead. We have a peer review option that we can toggle on if that, again, is part of your institutional license. That was mentioned in the chat, I believe, as well by one of our participants for today. And you can also enable complete or incomplete grading if that is what you're looking for this particular assignment. Okay, I'm going to leave these toggled off for now. I'll leave the points at 10, but you can adjust that, I believe, up to 100 if that's what you need. And whatever score is set up here will translate over to the LMS as well on that particular scale. All right, now it's going to ask if I want to link this to the assignment, in this case, Canvas. So, and this will look similar for other LMS tools as well. I'll click link, and then I'll just click select. And now once the rest of my assignment's set up here, if I need a due date, I can just save or save and publish. So I want you to see now what it'll look like from the instructor and learner view once you have set this up. And notice there wasn't a lot of work to do there. Of course, I would maybe spend a little more time on my instructions. But as the instructor here in Canvas, for example, you'll just need to click this monitor button to see where your learners are at. So I click that monitor button, that'll open a new tab for me. Here you can see my test student account. And notice a couple things here. So status, you'll know if the learner is in progress or hasn't started or has completed their learner-made bulb assignment. The score will be here, which we'll have to do manually once we review it. And then there'll be a preview button and the option to copy. I mentioned earlier, if it's sort of like a jigsaw activity, you can copy those bulbs over into a playlist, for example, and share that out. So this is what the instructor page looks like. Let's go back for a moment and look at the student view. So if I click view as student here in my Canvas account, the student will see the instructions that you typed here in the top left corner, of the gray box, and then the start button. And if you put any additional description here, that'll be above this box here. So a rubric, for example, or additional details. So they can just click start and they'll get right into the instructional design studio of PlayPosit. So if you've used the tool before, this will look familiar. If not, welcome, this is what it looks like. So here's your instructions in this case. And the first step is to choose the video source. So here's where that learner will paste in a URL, upload their video if that's possible for them, record right from within the tool, search YouTube or Vimeo, or some of these other options that are grayed out for me might be available for you depending on your institution's setup, Kaltura, Panopto, just to name a couple. So they'll be able to, and I'm just gonna, for this example, just do a 5-second blank video from YouTube just to kind of show you the flow here. So I find my video or I upload my video, I record my video, whatever makes sense here for me. Click done. And then you can add the interactions to that content. So I can scroll to a certain part of my video, add an interaction at that timestamp. That could be something like a discussion for the time-coded conversation. Maybe it's a pause interaction where I want to share some annotations there. Whatever that might be, I can get set up here. And then let's just say that I'm done adding all my interactions. This is me as a learner now creating this bulb. I go to my review step and I can simply submit that to my teacher, my instructor. I can also preview it here first before doing so. So let's just say I submit that to my instructor. Great. It's going to say go back to your course. Let's do that. So now the learner will see, instead of start, they'll see edit submission. So that'll be a chance for them to edit that. Let's go back to the instructor view now for a moment. And this is, again, pretending that my student has submitted their learner-made bulb to me. Now, if I go back to the monitor page as the instructor, I'll see, oh, they've completed it at this date and time. I can enter grade mode, and then I can give them that score out of 10. I can click the preview button to actually watch the bulb and engage with the one that they just submitted. Now, notice this little lock icon is currently unlocked, so learners can edit. But if I see they've submitted it and I want to lock that for them, then they will not be able to edit that anymore. Okay. Actually, it is currently unlocked. All right, it is currently locked, and this would unlock it. I can also copy, again, the bulb there on the right side of the screen. And then once I've done that, I can sync my grades to my Canvas course. Okay, I'm going to pause here for a moment. I know I just shared a lot in terms of the demo, so let's see if any questions came up just from that part of our session today. All right, well, that chat is still open if anything comes up as we're going along. But let's give one more pro tip here before giving you a chance to practice a bit. So in terms of monitoring the assignment, I just showed that monitor page there, but just a couple of things to consider. Again, just kind of name these one more time. You can unlock or lock the bulb for student edits. So depending on what stage you want students to be at, if they can continue to make changes there, or if it's one where you want to be able to just lock it in. This is it, your final version. I'm now grading this. Again, you can score individual learners here in the enter grade space and then pass that back to your gradebook. And then last but not least, you can filter by status, send them reminders of a particular due date on that. Okay, just taking a look at the chat for a moment. That's a great question. I'll leave that one for Steph if she has a thought on that. And also thank you, Mark, for that feedback. Okay, let's give you all a chance to practice, kind of lock this in. I'm blocking part of the screen here. Again, this is in the participant slides you can check out. But I'll put a 2-minute timer on, and maybe I'll just go off camera for those 2 minutes so you can see the full screen. I know there's a lot here. Again, this is in the slides, but I just wanted to give you a chance to try those couple steps out where you navigate to PlayPosit, try to add a learner made bulb, and get that set up for your learners, just making sure that everything kind of works on your end. Okay, I'll pause here. I'm going to go off screen, put on 2-minute timer, and we'll be in the chat during that time as well. All right, welcome back. That was about 2 minutes. So if hopefully that gave you just a chance to kind of play around a little bit. If you need some more time, definitely can take that after the session for today. And again, these slides are available there in the top right corner. If there's any questions that came up from that, again, put those in the chat. I know Stephanie's working through some of the ones that we've already received. And we'll stick around for a bit at the end as well to make sure we got every question or have a good way to follow up with you. Now, one more kind of question for you all, just in the chat here. Again, if you feel comfortable sharing, would love to know, in the next couple of weeks here, how might you be leveraging learner-made bulbs? If you have an idea, whether it's one that we've shared already or a different one, would love to hear that. I'll just pause for maybe 30 seconds to give folks a chance to start thinking about that and maybe putting in the chat. Okay, feel free to share that as we go. Again, if you have ideas, ways that you might use this tool. One extension here, I mentioned this briefly before, but just to stamp it again, you can use learner-made bulbs inside of a playlist. And so that could look like, there's a video that you're sharing with learners or a resource you're sharing with learners on a particular skill or a topic, and then you want them to practice that or actually create their own interactive video as part of this playlist of resources. So you can embed that Learner Made Bulb assignment as part of a playlist. Again, this is an add-on application that some folks have in their license. If not, you can definitely reach out to us to talk about how to get that at success@wevideo.com. But this is really powerful. And actually, we have been using this example recently in 2 of our certification courses for PlayPosit. So we have the PlayPosit Creator Course Level 1, focused on some of those beginner topics to learn about, like question sets, peer learning, adding resources to enhance video. And then our Level 2 is more intermediate, things like choice-based learning, adaptive learning, and effective feedback. And that last one was released just earlier today, or maybe yesterday afternoon. So we've got some great feedback on this. These are 2 different playlists that we have put out there. The links are in your slides as well. If you have about an hour for each of these to learn more about the tool, especially if you're new, I would recommend checking out that first one. But the reason I'm mentioning it today, additionally, is because in these playlists, you'll notice each module is kind of the same structure. It's going to have, here is an example of this particular skill in PlayPosit. Then here's a tutorial on how to actually implement and use that skill, followed finally by a way to practice with a learner-made bulb. So you will have a chance to actually create your own bulb and test that skill out. So in these playlists, you'll notice the third part of each module is actually a learner-made bulb. So just one way that you can see us using the tool that we're talking about, and maybe that's another idea as part of a training practice for you. Okay, awesome. Now, there's a lot to learn here. Hopefully you came away with a bit more than you started, but some resources to help you along the way. In the slides, you'll notice 2 particular links here. One is for instructors and others for learners. These are knowledge-based or help articles kind of guiding you through some of the steps that I went through in the demo, maybe even some additional steps that you might have questions about. And then the learner-facing version for getting learners up to speed on how do I create a bulb, how do I upload a video or select a video and add interactions, just from the high level perspective there. So there's a couple articles I would bookmark or at least share if you are going to assign this, let's just say through Canvas or LMS. Maybe you put that help article in your description and say, as you're working, if you have questions, feel free to reference this help article as a first step. In terms of just general PlayPosit resources, we are working to build out what may be most helpful for you all. The best place to start is the customer resource page. So, excuse me, this link I mentioned earlier, it's in the left sidebar. When you're in PlayPosit, it's the last option. The direct link to that is also in the slide here, again, in your participant-facing version. Just to give you a quick tour, this has a self-paced training through our PlayPosit Academy, some LMS-specific resources. If you're wondering, how do I get to PlayPosit in Blackboard? How do I get to PlayPosit in Schoology? Those resources are here in the top middle. A handful of use cases in our use case library that you can kind of peruse and learn from. Help articles, this is my go-to spot for searching kind of how-to. We have office hours. Those are Tuesdays at 11:30 Eastern, Thursdays at 4 p.m. Eastern. So that would be today, right after this session. My colleague Alexis will be there if you have some questions. He's great. I'd be happy to help or get you to the right person to help. And then, you're joining this webinar today. Thank you for, again, joining and engaging. We have more coming up here. You can register. And then the creator challenges I mentioned are also linked here on this page, as well as the ability to sign up for our newsletter. So this is kind of the one-stop shop for all things PlayPosit. We've got YouTube tutorials that are 5 minutes or less for the most part. So you can check that out on the YouTube page. Link is on the slide. I mentioned office hours. Again, here's the time for those. The next one is actually today in about 15 minutes if you're watching us live. And then last but not least, those webinars I mentioned, here are the kind of up and coming sessions. So Stephanie, who's in the chat, who is amazing, she'll be running our next session on April 17th called Unleash the Power of Personalized Learning with PlayPosit's Adaptive Learning Design. If that is interesting to you, come join us on the 17th, or just register and watch the recording at a later date. We've got 2 more sessions coming up in May. You can check those out as well, again, on the webinars page, which is linked on the slide. But with that, we've got just a bit more time together here. We'll stick around for a few minutes. If there are other questions that we didn't get to or that you just thought of at this time, before you leave, I just want to say one more time, thanks so much for your time and energy today. Appreciate you joining on this Thursday afternoon on the East Coast. And if you do have any additional questions, you could reach out to success@wevideo.com. We can kind of start a conversation there and get you to the right place or get you the right answer that you're looking for. But thanks again. I'll stick around for maybe 1 or 2 more minutes if any questions are coming up. Thank you again, Deja, for joining us. Thank you, Tara. Thanks, Mark. Awesome. And I'll just put that email in the chat in case anybody needs it. Success@wevideo.com. Hopefully I spelled that correctly. All right. Thanks so much. Okay. We are going to close out. But again, you can email us. You also have the office hours coming up in now 13 minutes that you can join from our customer success or customer resources page. But thanks again, and have a great rest of your day.